So I just want to make sure so you can get on the capture of
you're
Slate.
So do a good one. 3, 2, 1.
Ah.
There you go. Perfect.
What's up, everybody? How are you guys doing? I am Ryan Weller, and welcome to the Player's Space. Today we're going to be looking at Guardians of the Galaxy Episode 1, and I am joined by Molly Maloney.
Hello. It's a pleasure to be here.
Shucks.
What am I supposed to say? Hey,
I think that's perfect.
Oh, no.
I like how you're like,
all of it.
oh no, that's the one he's going to use.
Hello, friends. Hi, I'm Molly Maloney. I'm the episode lead designer on Episode 1 of Guardians of the Galaxy. I've been at Telltale for nearly 4 years. I started here actually as a concept artist, and then over the course of Tales from the Borderlands, I ended up branching out and doing a couple different things, and then I ended up in the narrative design department, which is absolutely fun. Basically, that means we're the people who come up with a lot of the choices, so if you're mad about them, that's my fault. If you're not having fun, that's usually my fault too.
If you're crying, her fault.
That's our writing's fault. Writing does a lot of heavy lifting. If you're sad, then maybe that's writing's fault.
You know, you came up with the sad design, and they just did the 1-2 punch with the sad words that come out of the design.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So we're going to get into it here, and as you can see with the menu going in, we're going to be going into Episode 1. Now, how did you guys... Do you have any say in your department, like when it comes to even the title? So it's Tangled Up in Blue.
Yeah. Well, actually, we do get say in the title. We voted. We're democratic. So our creative director comes up with the front runners for the titles, and then being the Mr. Sean Ainsworth, and being Ever the Diplomat, he sent out the list to the team, and we all got to vote, and then throw shade on each other about what we chose.
Of course. Make fun of each other, basically berate each other into the choice that you want.
While I did vote for Tangled Up in Blue because I'm a Bob Dylan fan, when I later realized that the only reason we used it was because we just meet blue people, I had real buyer's remorse on that one. I don't think that's what Bob Dylan intended.
Does it help, definitely coming from... Does it help if you have a good, extensive knowledge on the 80s and 90s to be able to design for this game?
I feel like having a good extensive knowledge on the 80s and 90s is good just generally for the soul.
Yes, of course.
But yeah, absolutely.
Screw you, millennials.
I'm a millennial.
In the nicest way possible.
That's fine.
Now do remember, our choices, they matter here. And actually, it is true. I will say, in this game, more than I think in the past, I've had a chance to play through different iterations, and it is pretty impressive.
Oh, thanks.
It is.
I think we have a lot of things that go into making the choices and our ability to push choices, and we tried to do a lot with what we had in this game. I suppose that's the diplomatic answer.
Now, I do like how we're kind of focused on him getting geared up. You know, it's the cool version of Rambo, you know, putting on all his stuff.
Well, John Stouter basically came up with this, our director, our episode director, and his hope was that you would reveal Peter Quill on the first choice.
So here's a question for you: who is your Peter Quill? Is he sassy? Is he nice?
Mine's nice with a side of sass.
I'm definitely the lovable rogue. Just wondering first.
And we reveal your protagonist.
Yep.
John. Actually, fun fact, this next choice I tried to get expunged from the game.
Oh, really?
Zach, our writer, came up with it, and I was basically, my point of view was like, I don't know what my record is. But he did it entirely for the idol that we're talking over right now. He thought it was very funny, and in the end, this choice conditionally appears depending on what you said in the previous one. And I have to hand it to him, it's a pretty funny choice.
So I think in the end, it's like, how about my future crimes? You know, like, I am not the nicest person in the world. I want to know that no matter what, I got a free pass.
Well,
for everything.
spoilers, we won't give you a free pass.
Gosh dang it! Damn it, Telltale! Damn it, us!
Now, a fun fact also is that this scene used to not be the opening of the game.
What did it used to be?
Originally, the opening scene was not the opening scene. Originally, I think that was the 4th scene in the game. We actually had 3 scenes playing as young Peter in kind of an origin story. We ended up dicing up those scenes and distributing it throughout the entire episode, kind of to let you feel like kind of dole out that information a little more and let you really get started in the midst of the action.
Now, would you say this version of Guardians of the Galaxy, is this based on the movies? Is this based on the comics? What would you say this is based off of?
Well, we took a lot from the comics, honestly. Obviously, everybody, or not everybody, but a lot of people have seen the movie. And so we tried to pay homage to the version of the Guardians that we feel people are familiar with, so they're not just jumping in.
Yeah.
But the comics have so much more to offer in terms of history and also freedom for the take on the characters.
Yeah.
So I would say the comics were far and away more of a...
Oh.
Are you gonna get it?
Oh, yes! Yes. Playing games. Me personally, I gotta say, I love Rocket. Rocket by far, favorite character. I love his sass. I will say, I do think it's interesting that he's got a New York kind of accent. I've always been kind of curious, how in the world did that come out of play? Where does any of that go? But definitely by far, Rocket and his sass. All the way love that character. What about you? Who would you say is your favorite Guardians characters?
I think I'm well documented as saying Peter's my favorite. Peter's my favorite though, for a couple reasons.
Okay.
One, he's the player. I'm the designer. But most importantly...
Now, by player, did you mean like he goes around the galaxy?
Not a player.
Oh, okay.
He is the player.
He is the player.
But also, yeah, I think... my friends, when we play D&D, they call me a fantasy racist, but I like humans. I understand them. And Peter's just really fun. There's like so much going on with him. Like he's an orphan, and he's funny, and he's obviously in a lot of pain, and there's just so much to move. He's got a lot of depth.
He's got a lot of layers.
Yeah.
He's an onion you can just peel back and things.
Why is that voice necessary?
I don't know. I go into voices. That's what I do. I do love this reveal. I do like...
I think this was John all the way.
Yeah.
I think. I apologize if it was someone else and I just gave it to John.
Just naming those names, dropping names.
John Stouter. We were like stapled together making this. There's my lead writer, Zach.
Zach!
Woo! Another person I was stapled
Now, this is
to.
where, of course, he's raising the roof. He's putting his hands up in the air, waving around like you just don't care.
Look at those lashes. They're so luscious.
He's got beautiful lashes.
You could lose yourself
He's a beautiful man.
in those lashes. Speaking of racists, other green one.
I was gonna say, got a lot of awesome green people in this game as well. But you'd probably never like them because they're not human. Which is basically, in the end, I mean, it is Star Trek area of just changing the color skin.
It's true. And, well, I mean, it's not true. It's actually really fascinating kind of trying to find things to latch onto. One of the more difficult things about Guardians is there are, from an outsider, trying to empathize with people who aren't aliens. I mean, or who are aliens. I don't know. It's just a little weird. You have to get people on board with characters that aren't strictly speaking people. Well, that sounds so terrible. They're not like us.
I'm going to pick this because I would say this in real life. It's nice being so tall.
It is nice.
You have no idea how many times, I mean, look at this, for heaven's sakes. I can go over here and do this because I'm asked to. So I've been hitting my head on these lights in here. It's wonderful being tall. I'm a huge fan. I don't get used for it at all. It's so nice. I will say my girl a lot of times will walk the kitchen. She's now gotten to a point since we've known each other for almost 6 years that she'll just kind of point and grunt at something. She'll just be like, give me that. Like, okay. When originally when we first started getting to know each other, she's like, would you please, by all means, could you possibly get that? That's right up there. Thank you so much. And now she just points, grunts, and gives me a head nod.
Well, it's good that you've gotten to that place in your relationship where you can let that go.
Yeah, that, boys and girls, you too can get the head nod and grunt point relationship someday.
Don't do that. Don't be like Ryan. And then there's that comical gun.
Oh my!
So big.
Who do you remember who came up with the idea of the ginormous gun that's like twice his size?
I don't. I do remember early we didn't have the gun, and we needed something good to set up the fact that you're gonna fight Thanos, and the gun ended up being a 1-2 punch of Rocket looking competent. We wanted Rocket to look prepared, and we also needed a through line toward that fight where it was like, all right, we need to keep reminding you that the fight is coming because you haven't met Thanos yet. And it also became the silver bullet with Thanos. It kind of shows how talented and useful Rocket is as a member of the team. So the gun ended up providing a lot of services, but I can't really remember whose brilliant, fantastic idea it
Such a
was.
good shot. I will say, and plus, anyway, the badass level does go up with a gun of that size.
Well,
The bigger the gun, the more badass you are.
Thanos, one of the early pillars for Tangled Up in Blues in episode was, and great treatment by our UI team. I really love that writing. But one of the earliest pitches was, even before I got on the team, was that we would kill Thanos in the first act. And frankly, this gun kind of, when I rolled in, I was like, really? Like that? I don't even know.
It is a ballsy move to kill off Thanos
Like, people
right
are
at the
just going to
beginning.
think we have something to prove. But the gun for me kind of helped me buy it as well, where it was just like, okay, I think he even has a crazy line about it having like 3 suns and a pint of Ethereum extract or something. And I was like, okay, well, it's a super gun.
The techno babble. I do like how we deal with this, like, hey, what's up, Groot? Let's look at you. And then and then he's just like, I'm Groot. I'm like, okay.
With a happy grin. He's like our own little Iron Giant.
I do. Oh my god, I love that movie. It's such a good movie. Now let's look at Drax. Let's see what he's doing.
Struggling.
He's struggling. Well, I mean, it's a pretty large door.
Give it up, man.
You know, who do you think you are? The Hulk? You're not that green.
Yeah. And Gamora doesn't have a look at her.
Yeah, I do like this, that when you look at her, she kind of looks like she's just disapproving of you. She's just like, ugh.
She has nothing more to say.
You're just wearing that jacket again? Like, don't you have any other clothes? Do you realize how badly you smell right now?
Get on with it, Peter. There's
Do
only
something.
3 things you can click on the station cam.
And you can just look at the crack.
Check out the crack.
Check out that crack.
Tread lightly, Star-Lord.
I do love how the writers wrote Drax. He is the perfect straight man.
This is a great one. I'm not going to tread at all. For a million years, this line had dude at the end.
Dude.
I'm not going to tread at all, dude. And it was there, and it was there, and was there, and it finally got cut, and I can't hear that line without saying, dude. I'm not going to tread at all, dude.
So I will say,
we had a note where he said dude too much.
I do love how we are really going into the 3D space now with this exploration, which then leads into what we're about to go into, but how we have this design of not only walking around, but this is the first game where, like, not only do you get to walk around, but you can literally fly, go up to different levels, and walk around some more. Can you speak to that all when it came to coming up with the design of this idea?
Yeah. So when we start a new season, we call them seasons, the episode 1 team usually is kind of tasked with looking for new ways to push with the mechanics that we've got, the toolbox that we have at our disposal. And so for me, there were a few things that I thought were interesting. I was trying to tie mechanics into the story and the narrative. So what do we know about Peter Quill and the Guardians? 1, they're a team. And 2, that Peter has jet boots are like the big things. And so I thought an easy way to kind of push what we do, we call it free walking when you walk through a space freely, would be to take it in a vertical element. So early in the planning phase, I pitched the idea of a vertical free walk, and then we basically took that around. And a lot of people made that possible. Brian Fryermuth, Mark, Darren are season lead designers on this project, as well as a number of programmers and incredible tour artists Chore artist being the word for choreographical artist.
So when you see cinematic artist pop
Cinematic
up
artist, that's chore artist.
in the credits and whatnot, that's and we refer to it as chore because also it's our chore tool, what we use to help create our games. It's
we abbreviate choreography to chore.
Exactly. So when you hear that being thrown around on the show, now you know. You got to get a little knowledge bomb right there.
So yeah, it really took a village to. We'd never done anything quite like the vertical free walk before, and yeah, it was just an idea. Plus, it's like I think Peter Quill is at his heart an adventurer and an explorer, and providing a mechanic that used something that was a big canon part of his design while pushing forward on the idea of him being an explorer or an adventurer, rewarding exploration was something that we felt strongly about fulfilling in this episode.
I do love the exploration, probably more out of the entire episode. This part, being able to explore around all the different look-ats and everything that we have in here, all the different, going to the different levels and everything else, I think it's really well done. I do have to ask, the alien growth.
Oh.
Where did this come from? Because it's like, oh cool, zit pustules on some concrete. That, you know, I'm afraid that you were gonna give me like a little touch and it was just,
well,
you know.
So how to phrase this? The environment came back with these on it.
Yeah.
And I figured rather than I originally came from the art team myself. I used to be a concept artist, and I like seeing what the art team will come up with. They have a lot of really crazy ideas, and then trying to make that work. So usually I wait for the version of the environment to come back and then try and make the most of it. And when the growth came back, I was just like, you know what, I can work with that.
I like
so
how
we
you
put a
refer to it
look
as
at
the
on
growth.
it. Yeah, the growth. And weirdly, I originally had 2 look ats on it where basically you look at it once and then you could look at it again. And I think it was Peter was like, I'm not going to lick that. And I don't know, somebody cut it. Like, it's gone now.
The funny thing is, I mean,
noticed.
that's a very LucasArts, Leisure Suit Larry, just like old school point and click adventure thing is like, I'm not gonna lick that. I remember from like Steve, what was the Rogers? It was a Quest game or whatever back in the day. You could choose to lick things.
Oh.
And so that's so funny is I hear that and I don't know. Who came up with this idea of
the scanner?
Of the scanner? Yeah, the time scanner.
Time Scanner was my season lead designer, Mark Darren's baby. He had seen the scanner from the movie, and he was also a pioneer on the Batman. The Batman. On Batman, the Telltale series, and that tech there, and saw an opportunity to use it here in a way that would be canonically appropriate.
Well, it's a cool little. I mean, this scene definitely has a whole lot of different layers to it, and I love that you can walk around, you can click on all this stuff, and then once you do find that panel, and then you get the ability also to look around again. Then you get to see why are all the bodies there,
well, actually,
how they got there, et cetera, et cetera.
My inspiration for kind of making the most of the time scanner was Knights of the Old Republic 2.
Yeah.
They start, the beginning of that game is actually straight up a horror game. It's really cool. And you're on a mining station, you wake up and everybody's dead. And you get to see holograms of these people, and they actually fell into their bodies.
Yeah.
Where their bodies were laying. And I always thought that was a really cool idea. So Batman, when they used the scanning, they only had static poses of the characters kind of moving around like chess pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my one request, was that if we could support it with the animation time, I'd really like to see people fall into their dead bodies. I think it's creepy. It ended up being kind of funny in a way, some of them, but I guess it's Guardians of the Galaxy, so it should be a little funny.
Yeah, it's appropriate. Guardians of the Galaxy has always had a little underlining of dark humor, so it's I think it's perfect the way it all kind of fleshed itself out. Just like, and I do like how we even get some look-ats of just some of the damage that's around here, just like how...
Well, we haven't actually met Thanos yet, and I'm looking at it, and it seems like the artists were pretty careful to not show off Thanos' face in any of the hollows, so it's really, I mean, the original intent of the scene was to build up some drama before you meet Thanos, and not necessarily knowing Thanos.
We are switching different perspectives a lot, and Peter just isn't just the one person that you're controlling. Can you kind of, I don't know, go into a little more detail and because we didn't, of course, want the player to get lost. Like, who am I controlling now? What's going on? So how do you feel like you guys were able to execute this without getting lost into who you were?
Yeah, no, that was actually talk about another early idea. There were certain ideas that were very much locked in when I arrived on the project. Season leads Sean Ainsworth and Zach Keller are on for the whole season as season lead writer and creative director.
Yeah.
And that was one of their big mandates, is they were hoping for multi-Guardian combat sequences. The Guardians are a team, and they kind of want to showcase as a team you're strong, and alone you're a little weaker. And so that was kind of a mandate that we were given, but John and I worked together to really develop, at least subtly given our QTE kind of template, develop different fighting styles to make everyone feel unique a little bit. Like Amora is more, she has kind of a foresight where you kind of see your next move before you've executed it. And Drax is a bruiser, so you use like a couple of buttons at once. And, you know, everybody's got kind of a different thing. In terms of planning for it, it was really tough.
Really? You didn't just like press make game button and that's how that works?
Yeah, it's funny. No.
They haven't created that yet? Gosh dang it.
John and
Get to work on that.
Oh, God. John and I basically had a whiteboard that we would wheel into any office that had space, and we had, like, it's just covered in sticky notes like a conspiracy theorist.
You're a traveling gypsy of
we would just
notes.
wheel the whiteboard around to wherever we could book time and just try. At one point, we were squatting in Dave Bowman's office.
Squatting? I like to picture you out somewhere in a box, like, we'll design game for food or something. I will say it's probably the dick choice that you can make, right? Yeah, I know. Exactly. Like, how are they supposed to? And I picture like Drax is still pushing on the door or something like that.
Oh wait! Before you hit the button, I don't know if this is on a timer or not.
No,
this was contested.
This was contested.
This is the drama.
How is there drama over shoot door in?
If you ask David Monroe, who's our lead UI person, God, what? He's gonna kill me for this. I believe he wanted a button on it.
Yeah.
Because if you're hitting a button in real life, you should hit a button on the controller.
Okay.
And design usually argues on the side of, we should reticle click.
Yeah.
Because I want to feel like I'm maneuvering like a puppet to touch the button.
Yeah.
This bug got passed back and forth about 8 times, where it was like, this should be a button press. No, it should be a reticle. No, it should be a button press.
Okay, so
wait, is it a reticle?
Between a reticle and by button press you mean kind of like a QTE kind of thing where there's like a button at the bottom that you just.
Yeah. So basically you put a QTE over the button. So it's like B on that red button.
Yeah.
But I see we've landed on a middle ground. This is what happens when you go on vacation for the last week of production. We've got a station cam with a reticle, but you still hit a button.
Yeah. You found that middle ground between both sides have been, it's calmed down, the war is over, and you reach that middle ground.
Follow your dreams.
The more you know. Perfect. Amazing. Yeah.
And I guess it's not on a timer, so you can go make a sandwich while you.
Yeah, exactly. While Peter decides on this very important button press. Now, for a second there, when I did see these colors, I was like, "Oh God, this is going to be like a Simon Says kind of."
It used to be a Simon Says puzzle. I think you knew that. Were you baiting me? You knew that.
No, actually, I did not. I'm looking at this thing, and I'm a product, of the '80s and '90s. So I look at this and then think, okay, cool.
All right. Masterfully, everybody did a great job with it, but we cut it.
Well, we're gonna press this button, and surprise! I was worried that if you hit the surprise, then you were gonna smush Drax, and he was gonna be like, "What the hell, dude?" He was gonna say, "Dude,"
pancake,
because that's his thing.
That was surprising.
He was surprised.
That was surprising.
Oh.
This is a Kree temple.
I do like that he's a fountain of information to the elite teams.
He has a lot of feelings about the Kree, as it turns out.
Yeah.
That's what we call a callback internally. It's basically you say surprise, and then he says, "I was surprised.
I was listening.
I listened to what you chose."
I like how the gun still isn't working, and he's beaten. And we're literally just about to go into the belly of the beast and face off against like the galaxy's greatest nemesis. and he's still beating on this weapon.
Well, you wouldn't want to be over prepared.
No, of course not. What I love here is that we set up the humor right here.
You like this joke?
I love this joke. The build-up's like da 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 da, like even the music comes in, and then you just have Peter going.
Yeah, I think if I could say what our pillars were on episode 1, it was if you could make something awkward, then make it 3 times as long and keep it being awkward.
Yes. I love those awkward silences. I don't know why. It's perfect.
In my heart, this is an homage to Mass Effect.
Yes, this is our loading screen, everybody. This is our loading.
Well, ironically, I think we actually have to load to go into this.
All right, we're gonna load to go into the load. I hope you're fine with this. And then I have to whistle. You have to whistle in this one.
The correct answer is somebody say something, but you can whistle. I remember pitching this. I was just like, he whistles something that's public domain, like Ride of the Valkyries.
we couldn't have him whistle Smash Mouth?
And there's the reveal.
That wrinkly... His teeth are... you think being the tyrant he is, he could have some better teeth.
Oh, this is a fun game to play. John Stouter's pet peeve is crotch shots. Our director, he tries to avoid them, and so if you look, every artist has been carefully instructed to not shoot. Like it always cuts off right before the pelvis.
You don't want to do just an entire game nothing but crotch shots?
I used to go out of my way to like point them out to John just to make him crazy.
You sound like the sister that just comes like.
Well, it's funny because like you don't think about it. Like I don't think about it, and then when you sit in enough reviews with him, like it becomes a mini game where you're looking for a crotch shot.
Some dude's back there like 10 points.
Yeah.
10 points. Crotch shot. Hopefully, I can do the game justice and not screw up on any of these and end up dead.
I die in here all the time myself.
I do like how we
Super
get
heat.
those nice red hot knives.
Yeah, shout out to Michael Gambino, who really, really worked super hard on this.
Oh, I f***ed up on that one.
Games are hard.
Games are hard. So yeah, I missed a QTE moment. So sue me. I make games, but doesn't mean I'm the best gamer in the world. Just because you make games doesn't mean you're good at things. I'm not that good at QTEs or other games. You can find that online. Now I love how Gamora's just ready. She's doing her thing.
Gamora's like, I'm gonna help, and then Drax is like, no.
No. I want more time with Thanos. More me time.
She'll get in there.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
She's the smart one, really, by holding up. I mean, is Thanos.
Yeah.
I'm a distraction was the line that consistently got a laugh. I think that has been the same since Table Read. Nobody ever cut it.
I mean, it's a perfect line. It's, hey, I'm a distraction.
Yeah, I think it was even in the trailer. Just internally, people love that line.
I mean, it's true. He's not strong like any of the other Guardians.
Ouch.
You know, he's not technical like Rocket is. But he is a distraction.
That is literally his superpower.
That is his superpower.
Oh no.
I'm also, I have to be honest with the audience, I am a wonderful / filthy, depending on who you end up liking console-wise, Xbox user. So I am not normally using a PlayStation controller. So that's what I'm going to blame. Every gamer's got a blame thing when they're not doing good. You know, I'm tired. There was something in my eye. You know, for me, I'm not used to PlayStation controller.
I can't deal with shapes.
Yeah, what's with this shape stuff? I don't know. Oh, kidney punch. Oh, there goes his knees. And his face.
He'll walk it off.
Whenever I get hit like that, I always like to try and walk it off.
I always see this in our games. I'm always looking for the knee break. It reminds me of Wolf Among Us with the Woodsman. It's like, oh. Or no, it's, and also Grendel. Pet peeve.
Yeah?
give me a clear shot. You can see him. I was like, where's the fog? Like,
You're calling out the own design right there. It's like, I need a clear shot. There's a clear shot.
no, I'm calling out FX.
Oh,
But
Look at the behind the scenes where we call out the different departments.
Rocket. No, they did their best. I was the fool. And now we get Groot being amazing.
I think it was Adam Harrington that did the voice of Groot.
True that.
So how long have you been at Telltale?
Nearly 4 years now, but with our timetable, it feels so much longer.
It is true. I think it's something that not a lot of people watching at home kind of understand, when it comes to game cycles and how long it typically takes, to make games, et cetera, et cetera. I myself, before this, was, at Treyarch and working on Call of Duty and that kind of stuff. And you work on one game for 2, 3, sometimes a little longer than that, but normally around 2 to 3 years to put out one title. For us, when it comes from writing to design to setting everything up, it takes, what would you say, about 2.5 months?
Well, I mean, it takes a lot longer. Usually, I'll roll a writer-designer roll onto a project, and we usually end up with, about 6 months of, like from outline phase to.
I guess 2 to 2
getting
months,
approved.
like when I get a chance to look at the episode.
Yeah, absolutely. We take a lot longer than that from the creative department standpoint, but it's still very accelerated compared to a lot of game projects, and we tend to put out a couple of seasons a year, really. So
We've killed Thanos
we did it.
in like 30 minutes of being in the game already.
Pretty awesome.
So now are we just going to just
roll credits.
roll credits? Shortest episode ever.
It's actually shortest season ever. It's over. We did
Oh,
it.
wow. Yeah, then you're right.
Galaxies
We actually
Guarded.
killed Thanos before the movies did. There we go. Okay, everybody, go home.
Or did we?
The twist.
Because I don't know, if you're like me, I wouldn't believe that we killed him.
No, not at all. Like, I do remember when I saw this, I was like, wait. He's already dead? The big bad? The one? I mean, I think it's to the movies credits, to Marvel's credits. They've been hyping up Thanos for over a decade now in the movies.
Yeah.
And
Well, and I like to think of our game as a kind of a what if. We obviously exist in a different canonical world from the movies.
Yeah.
And it's a great what if exercise. What if the Guardians killed Thanos? And what would that look like? And what would that work? A crotch shot.
great. He's got you with that own particular specific tick now. You're like, do a crotch shot.
Put a bleep over it.
A bleep?
I don't know. A picture.
All right, editor. Go ahead and put a bleep when we see the crotch, please.
Put a little relic over that.
A relic. So
mini
there's a relic
with
and a
googly
bleep.
eyes.
You put an animated GIF, please.
I had a great pitch for Minecraft, or somebody did. It wasn't
Real quick,
me.
important decision. Which one would you do?
I stop him.
Really?
But I'm Captain
Okay.
Killjoy.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's Thanos. Don't mess with it, man.
I would be kicking him until literally the cows came home.
Yeah, the display text on that used to be different too. It was stop kicking him, start kicking him.
Groot's so happy.
I lost my train of
I never
thought.
thought this would happen.
Sorry.
I had a pitch for Minecraft, or somebody had a pitch for Minecraft where it was like offer a DLC where all the silence were farts. I think that would be great in Guardians as well. Just every silent, like somebody lets it rip.
This is highbrow humor stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hollow Note's the only track I never got tired of listening to. Usually you play the game so many times you get tired of every musical track. I have post-traumatic stress disorder over tracks from Tales from the Borderlands. But Hollow Notes is
You
just
hear
always
that and your
great.
eye starts twitching?
Yeah. No
I
more
do-
jungle.
So I have a question when it comes to the Eternity Forge that we have here.
Yes.
Is this a comic book? Is this from the comics? By the way, I have to say a round for the team. We all got to get a drink on this. But the Eternity Forge, is this? Did we create this, or is this something that came from the comics?
We made this.
Okay.
Yeah, this comes from a season theme that our episode, our season, basically Sean Ainsworth and Zach Keller and the group of people who are in charge of the season have a couple of themes in mind for all the characters, and we kind of manifested an artifact to capitalize on those themes. And that's what the Eternity Forge.
So my follow-up question then leads into, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Who decided that he had to be drinking from the darn thing?
That's Zach. It's Zach 110%. But Sean was a big part too. They thought it was hilarious, and I mean it is funny. We actually lampshade at one point. I think Gamora says drinking out of a galactic super weapon. Bold. But yes, that was definitely them. They were cracking each other up over it.
Because I was just wondering, like, did the design, like, no, we have to make it so he can drink out of it, or that
actually, yes, that was mandated from the concept, that it needed to be something that you could drink out of. It had to look powerful, it had to look simple, and it had to be something you could do shots out of. So, fun fact, we're entering into the section of the game that probably got the biggest last push for changes. This scene, you know well, you were on it. Ryan was the lead cinematic artist on the scene. But this scene had many versions, and we ended up with the one that we shipped, but the one we shipped came together toward the end of development.
Yeah.
And involved a few late nights.
Yeah,
on a number of people.
I gotta say, I love when rewrites happen where you have a bar room full of people that have to be shipped around, not just, a few of your key players.
But wouldn't be fun unless there was a bunch of people.
No. I do love, by the way, that Drax needing a seat isn't like, may I please have your seat? He's just, just...
Yeah, I like to, the joke that we like to make is, I'd like a producer's dozen of puppies, and both of them have to be adorable. But this is definitely a producer's crowd of people that are very artfully shot in this bar scene. I actually quite like how the bar came out. I think in the end, we got a version that I really enjoyed anyway, and I hope other people enjoy playing.
Now, I do know coming up here, this the other changes that happen, as you mentioned with later on, to give you guys a little behind-the-scenes look when it comes to creating the game, is that originally there was no way for you to get the Guardians to not join in with the toast there at the end. Everyone was there, and then one of the design changes came in later on was, you could say something that would make Drax leave, and you could say something that would make Rocket leave, and then you're doing this toast, just you and Gamora at the end. So where in the pipeline did that decision come down where it's like, you know what, we do need to do this so that, it feels like there's a little more player control in this interaction that you're given?
Well, there's a number of things at play. We have numerous we have a check-in structure here with executive staff and other teams, and throughout the bar scene was definitely there to introduce your characters, introduce the Guardians, really let you feel close with them. But one of the things it wasn't doing, the earlier versions of the scene were very much celebratory, feel-good versions. But what we weren't doing is we were not setting up the Discord with the team. That's that early moment we just had with Gamora, where she kind of helps outline the problem. Yeah. And then we created a scene that didn't have a lot of there wasn't a lot for the player to play off of. There wasn't tension in the scene, there weren't stakes. It was just a feel good scene that you kind of moved through. And so by adding a couple of potential pitfalls and ways for people to leave, one, we gave you some choices that you really felt ownership over. 2, we really kind of help pepper in the idea that all is not well with your team, which becomes much more of a season theme. And allows Peter to kind of decide what is important to him. And in classic Telltale fashion, you're not going to be able to make everybody happy all the time.
Because, of course, I know what to say and what not to say in the same. I do love keeping people
Everyone
happy
right.
as much as possible.
I'm not even paying attention. Have you driven anyone away?
Nope. Drax is.
So really, you're seeing a very close version to the original version of the scene. One of the things when we change something up closer to the end of development, we'll actually keep the original line as one of the branches.
Yeah.
So this is essentially the scene that it always has been, but it does have different ramifications in the next scene.
I will say it was one of those things because I had a chance to look through, if you kept them happy, if you didn't, and it was really interesting to see the difference of how your characters reacted to you. And the amount of different things that they could possibly say later down the road.
Oh yeah, I think a great example is Rocket, because based on 2 key choices, the one with Drax here and then the one in Gamora in the next scene, in the free walk you can have 4 different conversations with him. Kudos to Calvin, who's another badass cinematic artist who chored about 67 versions of the scene. In the next scene, either Rocket will be like, "Hey, my main man," or he will not talk to you at all, or he will demand an apology, or he will apologize to you.
There's a lot of different routes I can get, and when we get to that point, I'm gonna say I'm gonna say my favorite edition with Drax when we get back on the ship with Drax and whatnot. But it's as Gamora even said, you're the glue that helps keep this team together. So if you end up being a jerk, running around like it's all about me, then your team is going to reflect that selfish, egotistical, choices.
You talk about Peter Quill being an interesting character, and I think that's some of the tastiest meat on that bone, so to speak. Peter is inherently, there's a selfish aspect to him, and that isn't completely a bad thing, Peter is a complicated person.
Talking about that meat right there, the sexy guy that he is.
Good Lord.
He's handsome. Apparently he likes to take off his shirt too. Something we both have in common. Once in a while, when people aren't watching. Can't do it now.
Good Lord. No comment. I won't be baited by you.
I was informed that he's the Captain Kirk of the universe in that kind of sense.
But yeah. Oh, and then this moment. Talk about moments that really didn't.
Good segue. Good segue.
Talk about moments that really didn't change. This Gamora scene has basically been the same for a very, very long time.
Well, it's a good moment between these 2 characters.
Yeah, well, and that was a big thing. If I had to have a second favorite, it would be Gamora. I like the fact that Peter and Gamora are basically best friends.
Yeah.
And I think that this scene...
hopefully something a little bit more.
Well, it depends on who you are, I suppose, and how you feel about that and your choices. But I think what I like about Peter and Gamora, especially in this episode, is I always thought of Gamora as Peter's best friend and the person they can share with each other. Like, they kind of have this goofball crew. Drax was kind of wacky, Rocket's kind of wacky, Groot is adorably Groot. But Peter and Gamora, in spite of being wildly different background people, have a lot of common ground as well. And kind of having found each other in this world, in this crazy world, I think you see a lot of, in this moment especially, you see a lot of comfortableness between the 2 of them.
Well, they both have, shall we say, a harmed or hurtful childhood that they've had to go through.
They have a fair share of baggage.
Yeah.
But I feel like, and they're both trying to adjust to it in their own way. And as we move through the season, I think you'll see the nature of that baggage, and how it affects who they are and how they go through things.
So I love these moments where we actually get a chance to see them interacting without Peter.
candy.
Yes?
There's candy all over the ship. I can't unsee it. Talk about, this is another version of Rock I think Peter Quill's favorite thing might be candy. I always just notice it when it's in
Well, do you remember he was taken away at a young age when he was a kid?
Yeah.
You know, so you never had
You never
necessarily
learned.
Yeah. Stay
Yeah.
away from candy. Okay, please tell me, for the love of God, it's like we gotta have Groot just getting rid of everything in a very, very wet, huge sound back there.
Well, I will open up by saying that sound processing changed more times than anything else I think in this game. I swear everybody and their mothers had feelings about how wet it sounded, what end it might be coming out of.
That's what I was so... when I first heard it, I literally thought he was bent over, like, and it was coming out from the back end, not from the front end, until Rocket had that line of saying, puking.
I think you learn a lot from a person about what they think is going on in the bathroom. But the actual origin of the scene is funny. It was cut. We used to have an additional scene in between the bar and this scene. It never made it to past the idea phase, but basically we called it the walk and talk of shame. And you basically woke up in the bar, stumbled out, and your friends were all passed out in the alley. And you had to gather them up and bring them back to the ship, with the exception of Gamora, who was sober, because Gamora can handle herself. And you pulled, like, Rocket out of a dumpster, and Groot was not well. Visibly not well in the scene, and...
he just drank way too much.
Yeah, and so when you got back onto the ship, he kind of staggered into the bathroom.
So out of curiosity, what do you think Groot's drink of choice was that night?
Gosh.
What would a tree get drunk off of?
Oh, man, maybe it would be a grasshopper.
A grasshopper?
You know what? Is
I've never heard of that. No.
It's got creme de menthe in it, I think, and it's a. I don't actually like grasshoppers, but it seems like something a tree would do. Cut it out, Rocket.
So
You're way over the line.
So I'm trying right now to toe the line between how I've been telling, okay, like Gamora, it's cool, leave it alone, Rocket, trying to once again play that middle ground as much as possible to try and keep this team without, blowing up with each other.
Can't have it both ways, Ryan.
Well, you know what? Sometimes I like to have my cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
And speaking of sweets, okay, you knew this question was coming because I'd full disclosure, typically there's questions here on a show that people are privy to before they ask them. I know, blowing your minds. Oreos. Who chose to give Drax Oreos?
They're not Oreos.
I'm sorry, nondescript black and white.
Snacks. And funny enough, I believe writing was against these. Somebody was against these being cookies. Art. This is a great example of Art went off and made something that I thought was hilarious, and then we couldn't change it, and I wouldn't want to. I love them, but I think they were supposed to be more nondescript, crackers, and they came back as those.
As those nondescript black and white.
Nondescript
black
space snacks.
Yeah.
TM.
Yeah.
And they're adorable. They're really adorable.
I love them. And then you get to ask him, you eating your feelings? Like, it is such, watch your waistline there.
Well, and if you ask
Jax.
him eating your feelings, I love how he gives you the textbook definition of basically eating your feelings. There's a void inside of me that only these rations can fill. Like, it's basically, this is shame eating.
I mean, I may not look at it, but I've been known to finish off a few sleeves of Oreos.
As we
back
call that in
my
my
day.
house, the convenient single serving size.
The convenient, of course. Yeah, the where they put in, like, you can have 2 cookies. It's like, yeah, okay, 2 sleeves. What do we do with Thanos? I'm always kind of curious to hear what other people think before end up doing it, but it was quite interesting. I had a chance to play this with my girl, and throughout the entire thing, she was even siding with Gamora the entire time. She's like, I had to side with Booty. Because she wanted to get together with Gamora.
I have a fundamental problem with Gamora being referred to as booty. But Gamora is ruled by logic.
Yeah, that is true. Well, I mean, you're gonna be ruled by if you're siding with her or not.
Oh my
is
God.
is what one assumes when you play a game. You're like, well, okay, well, I'm choosing. I chose to go with her with Nova. I chose to take her onto Hollow's ship. And so every single time she's like, shut choice. She's like, I gotta choose booty.
Follow the booty. Okay. Sure. Sure.
Yeah, I want a relationship with Gamora. I'm gonna follow the booty. What's wrong with this? I don't get it.
Well, as a designer, I'm happy that we set up a situation of
Oh God.
felt you had agency over your situation.
Such a political answer.
When it comes to building out a level such as this, you have all these clickables, all these things to look at. Once again, you talk about kind of like in between design and art. How do you guys come up with all these different things you can click on? Are you guys just like spitballing like, there's this in the room, there's this in the room?
It's a combo, yeah. We usually have a kickoff with the art team where we talk about kind of functionally what we need a scene to do and about the characters in the scene. And then we try and, I always try, and I mean, I used to be a concept artist, so I like to let the art team own that as much as humanly possible. I think it's really important. Plus, you get things that you never would have gotten. If you try and micromanage, you get what you ask for, but kind of a monkey paw-wish version of it. So it's way better, in my opinion, to just kind of let them. I mean, that's what they're great at. So we gave some vague needs for the ship. But other than that, we just kind of, and of course the ship was a tricky one because that was pulled. I mean, we have a lot of shots from that people are familiar with about the Milano.
Yeah.
So we tried to create our own version of this ship, but with our own flair on it. And but anyway, yeah. So usually we'll do a kickoff, and you should save this for last. So I can talk over it for a while. But usually we'll have a kickoff with the art team, and we'll talk to them about what we need. Then they'll kick us back a bunch of revs on it, and then I kind of use those in my head when I'm coming up with the idea of what we might look at and stuff. Like we've got a weird. Most people will miss it, but there's actually a spinning air freshener, which is one of the most highest res objects in the game.
Really?
Because we made that for our internal. Look at that nice.
Oh
up-close
God, it's got the crack.
texture.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was used for our dude. We call it the milestone dude in a room, which is just when we're testing the tech, and he used it to sing in the fake milestone that we had. And anyway, but yeah, I'll look at what they come up with, and then
And here we get to talk to Rocket and see if I did a good job
in your version,
at
he
towing
will
the line.
demand an apology from you, and you better apologize, or else he won't talk to you.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I'm once again, I'm trying to toe that line, so even if I feel like I should have to apologize, I'm going to.
Oh, you're that fair weather friend where you just tell your friends what they want to hear.
Well, no, I'm being that person going, you know what? Okay, I have my point of view, but you also got your hurt feelings, so I'm sorry I hurt your
Oh,
feelings.
you're one of those people who's like, I'm sorry if what I did made you feel bad.
And then
I'm sorry for your feelings.
And then in the future, I can make sure not to do that same thing and to hurt their feelings.
Oh dear.
Do you want to know why we can't have nice things? You want to know why we force you to kill someone all the time? It's because players want to be nice. Every time we offer a choice that has a nice rail, everybody will do it. Minecraft episode 5, we let you choose Issa or Milo or both. Everybody chose both, because nobody wanted to hurt anyone's feelings. Stop being so nice. It's a big problem. You can't have cool choices if people aren't kind of causing problems. And when everybody intrinsically wants to be nice, it just makes my life so difficult.
Well, Rocket bought it, so.
Yeah. Bought it.
That's all that matters.
Jeez. Yes, because I'm trying to put one over on him.
So as I said before, Rocket can be in a number of states for that conversation. That's a great example of kind of under the hood thing that people don't notice a lot.
So I got to go to my favorite.
A lot of people miss this.
This is my favorite thing over here.
That's a tricky nav cam. So some people just walk by poor Groot.
I love the sound effects. I love it because this is literally I helped do a lot of the sounds from the zombies back in Walking Dead days, and so just the you know, that sound that you can get in the back of your throat, and it's all right there.
Adam Harrington, man, he
Yeah.
killed it. And I will say, there is one particular read from Peter on this choice that I think is amazing.
All right.
Which is the on the trees get hung over choice. His read where he says, "Oh God," makes me laugh so much.
So which one?
Trees get hung over.
Trees get hung over. All right. Always like to see the timer get down to the closest in case you may miss anything.
Hung over.
Oh God!
Oh God!
I feel certain that they played the group for Scott when he recorded that. I know sometimes they'll play the lines for him.
There's something I also have to commend you guys on for this. Not just not for the throw up thing, even though that's brilliant. Is the one thing I noticed that Telltale has gotten away from, and reasonably so in certain ways, is double clicking on things and getting extra dialogue or extra things happening and that kind of stuff. We used to, that is a bygone era of the old point click adventure games where you click on something and there would be a lot more things said and be different every single time. I remember episode 1, season 1 of Walking Dead, I had to help create the scene where when you get into Clementine's backyard and you have the tea set, like you can click on it for like 4 times and it's just going to say something different every time. But then I would watch YouTube playthroughs and like they click on it once and then they just go right by. They wouldn't even think about it. And so I've noticed a lot of times we have gotten away from that. We don't have those anymore. I noticed in this episode we had a lot of clickable things that were
multi-clicks.
And I love that. I love that you guys put that in there.
Well,
So
we've gotten a lot better. We call it dying off, where the clicks will die off when they're done, so people will know that. Sometimes people just assume that it'll repeat the line.
Yeah.
So as Walking Dead season 1 illustrated, whereas now because the clicks die off, if you see the click remain, a lot of people want to try it again.
yeah.
But we do try not to do it too much, simply for pacing reasons. It's
Of
so
course.
easy to take a very long time. And sometimes we want to keep you moving through the action.
Of course. I'm just saying it was just something that, like, as a huge fan of the old school point-click adventure games, I love seeing that. It was something really kind of cool.
Well, it's a fun place to add some Easter eggs as well. As
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone remembers from season 1, the powerful stash, Mr. Randy Tudor.
he did not have a say in that.
Aww. I think there's some homages to that Minecraft as well, the powerful stash. I think episode
God.
5, which I worked on in Minecraft,
That's
had
amazing.
a powerful stash.
So as we just saw, Gamora was talking to her sister Nebula, and that would not have happened.
It didn't go so good.
No, and that
And
wouldn't have happened otherwise.
that was thanks to your brotherly, possibly more than brotherly intervention. Maybe I shouldn't say brotherly. That's creepy.
No, it's not creepy
Your
whatsoever.
friendly advice.
Friendly advice. Okay. Well, we'll toe the line on that one. So, all right. So we're about to go over here to the console and take a look at this. Who was in charge of creating all the flavor text when it came to the messages and who we were going to talk to? Because I have to say, more so than anybody, I was really surprised to see that we had Howard the Duck in here and that we also had Cosmo.
So, I am going to take credit for the email system because it was my baby.
Mine!
Funny story about that. We used to call it email, but email is weird in space. So messages came about just because we thought it would be fun to have some Easter eggs, obviously, but it was also just a great idea. You can set up callbacks there. You can get insight on different characters. There's a very funny one from Rocket where he's like, "Oh, I'm so glad that you're futzing around doing all your stuff instead of actually making your choices." But the whole thing just came about where I thought it would be very cool to do a computer system. You are in a sci-fi space game and having opportunities. Instead of having a codex, let's have a ship log. Instead of having, just having a comp system, let's have emails and use them as places. And then, of course, the Howard the Duck stuff was just fabulous gravy. And that was so much thanks to Marvel for letting us use their amazing characters and letting me punk our director by putting in that stuff. So yeah, it was a labor of love by a bunch of people, and
we had a lot of fun. I can't wait to see what the other episodes do with it. Nicole, I'm looking at you. You better use it. So, yes, I put it into Bribe, and it didn't even work. I don't think he can come back. I don't think his schedule will allow it.
No,
but,
I think he's Minecraft all the way now.
But it's also in there, obviously, like, that's the kind of stuff that I feel like fans get excited about. Like, that's the magic of a Marvel franchise, is, like, there's so much rich history, and so we wanted to put in a bunch of those kind of things as for fun. Like, what if you got a spam email from the Universal Church of Truth, or, like, whatever. We thought that would be really fun.
I do love how he types the way he speaks.
I had a pet peeve about I got mad at Zach about it. I was like, really? Is he that? And Zach's like, no, he's not dumb. He just is not a native, it's fine. So that's how Yondu types.
So I also have to ask, speaking of which, when it comes to type, is this supposed to be read like in a Russian accent? Is this just like... Comrades, like what have you
I believe
jacked apart?
Cosmo does. No, I might be wrong, but I was told that he does speak in a Russian accent.
Okay, I haven't heard Cosmo speak, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, these were. I don't know if it's okay to say it, but a lot of these were ghost written by Eric Sturpey, the man behind Echo Eye on Tales from the Borderlands. Zach Keller went through them all. And worked on them a little, but Sturpey did the first version of everything, including all the codexes, and they were, I am not afraid to say, a labor of love.
They were. So when I saw that, so like I said, Johanna, she was playing through it and had those things popped up. Of course, she has no clue. Howard the Duck, Cosmo, that kind of stuff. It is for the fans, and so. I just had the biggest smile on my face, and I was like, looking at this was like, oh god, this is awesome.
I did laugh at the colorblind joke. I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah.
All right, so if this was your Peter, who would he call?
Man, that's really tricky, because I feel like there are compelling reasons on both sides, even if you're playing good, to call the Collector. Mm-hmm. But I think I would still do the Nova Corps. I think Rooks is pretty funny.
I would agree, and it's interesting is that it seems that 2/3 of people would agree with you on the Nova Corps, and they'd also agree with taking Gamora with you to Hala's ship.
And that's so funny because Drax is so good on Hala's ship. You're all missing out. But yes.
You want a relationship with Gamora? I don't know.
That's true. By taking Gamora on the ship, you probably get the flirtiest possible scene.
Uh-huh.
But that's a very conditionally rich way to it's very difficult to get that scene.
I say, follow the booty.
But the other branch for the Collector is really good too. Erin Yvette, amusingly, Erin Yvette voices this character, and she also voices the character on the other side, Feely, who you'd be talking to right now if you had chosen the Collector.
So either way, she is the person you talk to.
Well, you get a different Nova Corps officer will show up for this deal. That is not Erin. But yes, if you'd gone on the other branch, you'd get Erin Yvette's Feely. Of course, she's a veteran of our game. She's Sasha in Tales from the Borderlands, and she was Snow White in Wolf Among Us, and she was in Walking Dead. She was Bonnie.
Yes, Bonnie.
She's been everything. We picked. So Gamora will come in and check on you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, depending on who we go through, and that's another thing that actually surprised me when I was going through it. I was actually kind of surprised at seeing that it was either Gamora or Rocket would come in there, and so it really made the post scene after seeing your mom, which we're about to experience right here. Spoilers, I guess, is what's going on here. Everyone, you've been warned. Spoilers. And when we see Mom, sorry, I was stealing your camera again.
No, it's cool. It's funny. We add a lot of conditional content, and we call it. Some of it's more player facing than others, but mostly I think it's just better when the game feels good, even if you may not be realizing what you're experiencing. I mean, I would like you to always know that you're experiencing special content, but I think it's important that things move naturally.
Yeah.
And for us, it just, at the end of the day, it felt better if Gamora checked in on you, if you took Gamora's side, and by choosing no core, and vice versa with Brock.
So I'm going to say hitting the bully is fine because I don't give advice to kids. Kids, don't hit bullies. This is not going to solve everything.
Well, it's funny, Meredith, we got to introduce Peter's mom, which was like something we were really excited to do in our episode. And one of the big things that I always felt strongly about, and I feel like the team agreed, but that I wanted Meredith to be a likable, strong single mom. I was raised by a single mom, and in structuring the scene, I think I put a bit of that in there, and I was lucky enough to have a writer who was willing to kind of go with that. But my own mom was I was an only child raised by a single mom, and I think single moms are the coolest.
I had the same situation.
Yeah.
So I completely agree as well.
You're in a situation where it's kind of like your kid is your best friend in a lot of ways, and so it's a different situation than a more nuclear family. And so I really felt strongly that Meredith kind of come off as savvy. And just a cool person that you genuinely feel sorry is not with us anymore. And hands off to the voice actress whose name I am blanking on right now. But,
no worries. We can put it right down here.
Yes. Yeah. Right here. But
power of editing.
She's just got a great sound for Meredith.
And I do like we have these moments, and then we have this coughing that's kind of a constant reminder of not everything's all right.
Well, and I think like that was kind of the mantra. Like, I'm not always going to be here, but like Peter knows. We leave it a little ambiguous about what young Peter knows, but it's clear that they're both aware. Something is unsaid between them, but they both know a little more than they're sharing, which is not something we often do. In video games, you always try and put it all out there in front of the player to make sure that, like, no, you know what he knows. But I feel like she does such a good job selling this, and sometimes you don't have to know everything.
And face it, here at Telltale, we like making people cry.
Oh, well, and it's like, I can't, you make yourself cry.
Oh, you make yourself.
Your investment.
It's not our fault whatsoever. And I love the location. We go from all this, like, coldness of space and whatnot, then
to the coldness of Colorado.
Well, it's lush and green.
It's lush and blue. No, it's great. Fixing the tape player was a big thing that I thought would be cool if she would do, because I just thought that was a very cool mom thing. And then, the scene is beautifully made. There's a great matte painting in this scene done by Patrick Jensen, who does a lot of our matte paintings, and it just like I think it's beautiful.
Then there's Rocket in the background. I love it.
Oh yeah, look at him. God, I never saw it with him in the background, but that was one of the later. That was a very late ad, and I was on vacation at the very end.
I just think it's adorable. He's all upset, and then you meet this guy who's all fangirling over you.
Rux. I don't even think we hear his name in this, but I know it from the script.
Yeah, that's the thing. To let you guys know at home, even if these certain characters we don't hear their name, more often than not, if they have a line in the game, they end up getting a name put into our dialogue system. So that way, you can have the dialogues actually play on that character. So we'll end up having these characters who are like, didn't you know this character's name? But it's never said in the game whatsoever.
Another great example of like make your awkward pause 3 times as long.
We
basically do that elevator joke over and over again. We have a brand. No, there are a lot of different schools of thought on display text, and everybody has their own way.
Yeah.
That's my favorite, is like if you can kind of put a little bit of like display text is so difficult, right? Because you want to give an impression of what you're going to let the player say.
And it can't be the entire sentence.
But it also, we have, a very, Telltale, we have a way of doing things where we don't like to say too much the exact line in display text. So you have to get the heart of what you mean and hope that people appreciate it.
What the heck? Payments, installments,
welcome to bureaucracy. Hashtag adulthood.
Who here got screwed over by winning the lotto and learned that they weren't going to get all that money right off the bat?
Ever been to the DMV, son?
Oh God!
Help a Star-Lord out.
Yeah. Speaking of which, actually, Murat, he actually had to go to the DMV today.
Really?
And deal with that
Hi,
BS.
Murat. Murat's a cameraman.
Yeah.
I did have to deal with that today.
Yeah. So we all understand the pains of DMV.
Oh, he just wants to creepily touch your
He
weapon.
wants to. Oh, see, that's an implied crotch shot. You know, I'm just saying we're not getting a crotch shot, but it's implied. You know, it's kind of
It is
weird.
legendary.
Yeah. Let's not make it weird. No.
no.
Now, is Hala a character from the comics, or is that a making of our own?
No, Hala is a comic book character
Mhm.
that we brought in. I believe that the season leads would be able to tell you a little more, but she was chosen for a number of reasons.
Mhm.
Very cool. The Kree are just very cool and interesting as a race. And then on top of it, we jump at the chance to have like a strong female.
Yeah.
And she's just such there's a lot of interesting stuff that she's able to do. I'm being purposely nebulous because I don't want to give away what is coming
Of
down
course,
the pipe
of course.
for Hala. But
I will say this: whenever I heard her name, always like in any kind
Hala.
of situation,
Yeah,
I'd raise my hand.
nickel.
Hala. Excuse me, while I kill
every
people.
meeting.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, you got a name that just you hear
That's
that,
like
Hala.
in our dialogue files, we have a structure system where you basically label the top of each set of exchanges, and it's called cutscene _ and then a name, and you get to choose the name. And every time we do a space game, there's always at least one cutscene _ take it to the bridge.
Take it to the bridge.
Take it to the bridge. We have that. That's in I think that's in Attack Thanos. In our first scene, we used that CS. We got it out of the way right away. Take it to the bridge. I always wonder, why doesn't she just execute you?
You know, I was worried. I was thinking the same thing, and then I guess once we get back to
Hala's a
meeting-
show of power. She doesn't think that you're capable of threatening her.
Exactly.
Which, I mean, she should. You just killed Thanos. You obviously have some game, but the ship.
Well,
I love this matte painting.
See, for me, it wasn't that. It was when you get a chance to talk to Hala later on, and she even has the question, do you believe it's okay to take a life to save another? It seemed like, she shows a show of force. She came to get what she got, that she didn't feel like she had.
She didn't feel the need to murder you all.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think Hala has a lot of interesting. She's a very interesting character, and I think you can read a lot in between the lines on what she does and doesn't do.
Yeah.
And what her agenda is. There are things she really cares
So
about.
instead of taking more like I normally would,
You're gonna take Drax?
I'm going to take Drax because, it sounded like, you were a huge fan of that. And, we're trying to show the audience as well on a few things. Now, when I did take Drax, I actually did not side with him back in the bar. And so the
he's
entire
emo.
time,
He's emo Drax.
he is so emo. He is so depressing. So I'm hoping we're going to see something I haven't even seen yet, is if he is if he's, I'm going to kill everything. It is a
Matte
gorgeous
painting.
shot.
This amuses me. This is the only hard fail in the sequence, is if you let Drax drift away, you die. And I'm not sure, even for me, I'm not sure why that means that you lose your life.
Well, I mean, you don't want to lose Drax, and do you?
Oh, this is my favorite environment. I just think the red lighting is cool. Sorry.
I mean, would you want to? Even as it's done, would you want to make it a game for the rest of the next 4 episodes or whatever to not include Drax because you let him?
Well, he has a
float somewhere?
jetpack. He has a jetpack. He can just fly right
Well,
back.
the jetpack got just hurt, destroyed. Or...
Well, then how did he jetpack back with it at the end of the game, Ryan?
Let's just find Hala.
You know what?
I-
I would ask you the same thing. You designed it.
We missed a funny with Drax. I don't know if we got it, but he has a great line where he was like, "But you are helping too," and it always makes me giggle a little bit.
Now, before it happens, I will say the one thing I do like on the difference, once again, depending on the character that you brought with you and their fighting styles and all that kind of thing, is that ultimately going over to Hala, you have a choice whether then to go down the corridor or to go off here on the side. And I didn't realize this until I brought Drax here, that because I had brought Gamora, first of all, that you just went off to the side. I didn't realize if you brought Drax, then you're able to go down that hallway
Oh yeah,
and cause havoc. I thought that was kind of cool that, once again, choices matter, and you can either choose to bring Gamora, which you do all the sneaky stuff, or you go down there with Drax, and so it really kind of shows the character that you're with.
Totally. Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's funny. It was that was one where we definitely wanted to branch it. In the end of the day, I feel like I wish that we'd done a little better job. You know, you can see the different path. I think Drax has a hilarious line about, like, I'm too muscular to fit. When he obviously will fit down that passage. He's just being difficult.
Yeah,
but
he doesn't want to sneak. He wants to be Drax.
you know, that line is basically like, player, you should have brought Gamora.
Drax is gonna Drax. You know, he's gonna have to kill everything.
So on this branch, Drax is very excited to kill Kree and then disappointed that he does not get to kill them. On the other branch, as you experienced, Drax has no will to live and wants to die.
So sad. He's so sad. Like, if he had hair, he would have combed it over.
Yeah, he's definitely, if you say he didn't get his revenge, he's definitely having some problems.
I mean, heck, even I remember seeing on the ship, instead of eating the nondescript black and white cookies, he was sharpening his blades. He didn't have any cookies to speak of.
No, cookies are for closers.
Yeah. That's a good call to a movie. Oh, I love it. I love
God,
it.
you're right. Oh man, no. I didn't.
Your Alec Baldwin is showing.
That bothers me. I didn't mean to make that joke.
It's fine.
This is a pet peeve by a lot of people.
I love your segues, by the way.
This is a pet peeve. This map went through like 67 different iterations by our valiant UI team.
Why
and,
60?
Man, a lot of people had strong feelings about the layout of the ship and how complex it should be. And as you can see, it's very complex now.
But all we know is you pick one way and you sneaky, and you pick another way and you fighty.
These are the things that devs quarrel about. It used to be that on the other side of the pod room, as you can see down in cryo storage, was directly the bridge. And so for many people, they felt if you opened that door, the bridge would be right there if we led you to believe that from the map. So now it is a rat's nest of exciting hallways.
So you guys are getting the important behind-the-scenes look at the real stuff that we fight among
Many
ourselves.
UI artists lost their lives trying to make this map.
So I like the look at the question mark.
It's obviously a large hole.
It would have been some weird display text, though, if it's like, look at large hole.
But I am too muscular to fit. You will totally fit in there.
He just doesn't want to go in there, right?
Yeah, you're just being difficult,
He just doesn't want to go in there. He's like, if we go this way, there is no battle.
Yeah.
And that does not make for a happy Drax.
Yeah.
And you want a happy Drax.
Oh no, Kree.
Happy Drax.
Here he comes. It's his time to shine.
Oh, I love that. It just, the knives just stick right at the top of the cranium.
Is there no?
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Oh no. What? Okay, we'll fix
Slow-mo
it.
for your pleasure.
No, we didn't say anything. It just immediately.
So this gag was entirely by Sean Ainsworth. This is his baby.
Mm-hmm.
It makes him laugh every time. He loves it. I like how it's just like.
I do love that it follows the rules of three. It follows the rules of three. Because after this, I have to make sure to shoot him again.
There we go.
Let's go get the relic.
Now I'm secure that he's dead.
He's definitely dead.
He's definitely dead.
Make haste, Star.
Look at that power running on Drax.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Well, you know, he's got those large muscles.
who is next to die? So there's a joie de vivre with Drax that Gamora lacks.
Yeah, she also does not have the power run.
Yeah, it's true.
Yes.
Spoiler, she has the power crawl. And the ninja jump.
The power crawl. I want that on my business card now. What are you good at? Power crawling. I can crawl with the best of them.
And this is a great example of like the amount of work that goes, but like there's an entirely different version. Well, there's another scene
Yeah.
with Gamora in it. If
Yeah.
you brought Gamora and guy on the scene, Matt Drosty or Mark Drosty. Sorry, Mark. He basically had to make this scene twice, and it's a lot. It's tough, and he nailed it both times.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because not a lot of people think about this when you have a scene that has, you can swap out a character. Is, cinematically speaking, your cameras are going to be different.
They're different heights.
Yeah, and it's not just a thing about just taking a camera going, boop. I mean, it's literally, it's a huge swath of different things. Timing's different. Everything, the animations you're using, because it's a different character. It's all different. So the choices that you make, depending on which character is going to come with you, the same amount of work was given to both ends. It was both sides.
Also note, I really love Hala's face. Like I like the detailing.
Yeah.
I think like they did a beautiful job with her face. I think it's a shame that she's in that helmet the first time you meet her because she's just got a very cool look. Very cool dreads as well.
And I think it is an interesting thing when you have to create all these different locales, all these different locations, and how to make them feel so very different from each other.
And I gotta say, as much as I miss certain loved ones, I would never kill somebody to bring another person back.
That depends who.
Wow! You call me out and just making sure people are happy, and then you're being like, kill!
I don't know, It's a choice. It's not saying we'd actually do it.
Oh, okay.
But,
She is tall.
she's a big lady.
She is, you do not, on any...
She totally just hair flipped you.
Yeah.
Oh, no!
Okay. This, by the way, surprised me when I first saw this.
Yeah, it's kind of savage.
It is... For everybody who watches, like, Bleach anime or something like that, you look at that and you're like, you walk it off now.
We were playing it at one point early days, and, like, it was broken somehow, and the relic, and Peter just came in from the side.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know why, we were all punchy at the time, but we just laughed and laughed, and now that's all I can think of is, like, Peter just zipping in from the side.
I love the loving embrace. Drax
Will I
gives him right
Survive? This is my favorite choice.
All right.
Because it's literal Drax at his best.
All right.
Am I gonna survive this? No.
Jeez.
Cold! Ice cold.
Not even a sad, frowny face on that one. He's just like,
No.
nope. Please, I don't. If Drax would have became a doctor, he would have had the worst bedside manner like ever.
Yeah. You're already on your deathbed. And
I know, like, that's the thing is, like, focus on me. This is the one time I want you to focus on me. I'm dying.
It's true, but it's like that's kind of the issue, the season issue that they've got. It's like you are in a lot of ways the linchpin of this group, and without you, they fall apart so quickly.
So that's why I gotta make everyone happy.
And this scene didn't used to be at the end of the game, but
really?
I really like it here. I think
When where in the process can you say like this was added?
Oh man, it was midway. We
Midway.
we reshuffled some scenes midway through the process, I'd say.
Gotcha.
Sometimes you start off with what was in your head, and then when it starts manifesting in the screen, you realize there's some pacing issues or different things. And it's not that we want to throw it away, but sometimes there's just better places for it. I actually really like the scene on the death, because this scene tonally deals with the death of a different character, and
I do love the reveal.
man, and that has been that way since its very first version. Like, I don't think the shot has ever changed.
What's interesting though is like for me, when I saw him, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. No, I mean we even saw a picture of Yondu, with the mail system and that kind of stuff. But it reminds us with his reaction, like, oh yeah, no, this is not the norm. Like, seeing a blue guy isn't something that you saw any bloody blue like that in real life, you'd probably suspect that they drowned.
Yeah, if anything, I feel like Peter possibly warms up to Yondu a little too quick. you know, he rolls with it.
Yeah.
And you know, he's having a trying day. I guess maybe this is by far the least awful thing that's happened to him today, so it might be easier for him to deal with this situation.
And to know that, you know, he's not going to be alone.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Well, I don't know. I might prefer alone to whatever that is.
You don't want a 6'8" Smurf coming over to you with a
strong language.
robotic mohawk. I don't know. If I was him, I would say, "Get away from me." I'm like, you're kind of creeping me out, man.
Yeah. Even though he's basically just said, like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna kick your ass if you. Oh, come here!
Yeah.
I don't think he struggles enough, frankly.
You have no choice.
He's
in the
all
matter.
bark, no bite, Peter. But I love that reveal as well.
Yeah.
That old Peter has joined us in this scene. And then, of course, there's that.
Yeah. This started creeping me out when I saw that. I was like, oh.
It's a 301, or rather, a Walking Dead season 3 cross promotion.
Yeah.
Is that Mama Javier is, or no, his dad.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's
been a
okay.
while.
Once again, so many episodes.
We have a lot.
Our library is huge.
Oh dear.
Just going over here, like, yeah. I'm speaking of which, by the way, working on Walking Dead. I see this and I'm like, oh God, what are we going down to?
This
Walking
is a
Dead.
very expensive looking coffin for their family situation.
This is what you're calling them out on? You had too much money to spend on a coffin.
Don't worry about it. Just saying.
I do love that we have the little Star-Lord.
Mom.
I have to admit, when I first played this, I did get a little lump in my throat. I did a
Aww.
little tiny lump in my throat. Yeah, I love the way how this is all set up because it does create kind of like, once again, is this reality? Is this inside your head? You know, I love those kind of questions. And the one real swear word we were about to have in the game, and it gets cut off in the middle. I love it.
Bummer.
I love it. Well, hey,
Yay.
nicely done, everybody. Nicely done. Awesome freaking work.
See, everybody wants to be nice. Look
Yeah.
at that.
Yeah.
You offer an opportunity to be nice, and of course they're gonna say, "You did a good job, buddy."
But I will say, I forget who was it, but did say that we have created a good choice if it's not 50-50. You don't want a 50-50. You want a
I like
1 to 3.
I'd rather have like a 60-40.
Okay,
Yeah, but I mean,
gotcha.
I'd at least like a 60-40. We
Well,
try.
here's something that's a little closer, 70-30.
Yeah, these are the first time me seeing these, so yeah, that's pretty cool.
And then here's more to that kind of that little area. So
Yeah.
to the Nova Core to the
Well,
collector.
and that's what you expect. Like, a lot of people play Lawful Good.
So here. Now this is interesting. I will say this is interesting because I think the numbers
Have swapped.
are and maybe I could be incorrect on this one because I'm not sure. This isn't part of my job here at Telltale, but I know when we played on Xbox, the Promise to Mother was up around like 80%, and the no's were down to the 20%. So I wonder if the numbers are not.
I think
PC,
they're
Xbox, and
cross-platform. I'm pretty sure, but I might be wrong. I could be. This is not. I don't actually. You'd have to talk to somebody who's more in charge.
Yeah, or maybe they've changed since we played it on Friday.
They do
so.
switch a lot. Yeah, well, it often takes a little while for them to kind of even out. Some people play again, and we're always getting new users.
So yeah, as you can see, is that we had the
man, yeah, Gamora's
for
super
Drax.
popular.
Yeah, once
I
again.
will say though, she is your brother from another mother, man. In my opinion. And
this is why I think a lot of people, because they're hoping for that relationship.
and these are ripped from the comics. And these are very much an homage to the comics. Do this where they have kind of like a diary thing where they look at the camera and they do that. So
Gotcha.
if memory serves, that was I wasn't behind the next time on. Usually it's the next episode that kind of shepherds our next time on, like they're the next time on foreshadowing their episode.
Yeah.
And so I didn't get to see this as much, but I remember Sean pitching it.
I love how, you know, we get the nod of like, it would have been funny if we would have had this whole thing of Groot just talking, I'm Groot, I'm Groot, I'm Groot. And then Rock is like, you know what, buddy, just shh. Let me take care of this. So overall, the ending of this episode, was it pretty much on par for you know, what was kind of the arc for this one particular episode leading into the next, or did it vastly change to what it originally started out as?
I'd say it's pretty similar from outline. I think that certain things changed, certainly. The structure of some of the scenes changed. The amount, sometimes we learn later in the process how much we can afford to push things around. We actually ended up getting a lot branchier toward the end of production than we were initially, based on feedback and based on what we found out we could afford. So that, a lot of that stuff happened later. And then, yeah, the order of some of the scenes had changed. Certain scenes got cut as well. But overall, like, the gist of what you do in the episode was the same from the outline to basically what we shipped.
Gotcha.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us here at Guardians of the Galaxy Episode 1. Molly, congratulations on all the success with this amazing episode.
Oh, thank you, Ryan. But obviously it wasn't just me. We had a huge team that really helped make this. My amazing lead writer, Zach Keller, our fantastic director, John Stouter, who we name-dropped a bunch and joked and made fun of him. But no, there was just so many people that helped out on this, more than I could possibly enumerate, and I'm glad that you liked it, and I hope other people really like it too.
I'm sure they will. Like we've said before, it takes a village. Guys, thank you so much once again for joining us. And as always, this place isn't just mine, it's yours as well. So we'll see you next time when we welcome you into the player space. So from now on, I'm just going to show up and be like, hi, Ryan Weller, ambassador.
Yeah, I'm a video ambassador. What does that mean? It means I come to you through film?
It means I ambassadate.
That's great.
It's proper English, right?
That's definitely fancier.
Than saying cinematic artist. Ambassador.
Yes.
I'm going to go to the UN.
You went from artist to diplomat.
I'm going to go to the UN and be like, ambassador. I'm like, where the hell are you from? Telltale.
Yes.
The Isle of Telltale.
All right, we're rolling.
Oh, God.